So some people in the Battlefield community have come to the conclusion that if you force someone to carry a medpack, he'll be compelled to be a charitable player who cares about his teammates.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
This has led to a discussion, and I use that word loosely, about what makes a team player in an FPS game, with a sudden controversy in Battlefield about medics not having a medbag equipped, and instead taking other kit items in Hardline. But this concept extends outside of Battlefield and into games like PlanetSide 2, and pretty much any team-oriented FPS, so I figured I'd add my 2 cents. For my PlanetSide viewers who may be unfamiliar, a popular opinion going around is that Survivalist, which is a self-revive for the medic in Hardline, encourages players to be selfish by allowing them the option of taking Survivalist instead of another piece of equipment, which could potentially have been a medpack or a revive tool. Therefore, they will be encouraged to play selfishly, since they could have taken a team player piece of equipment, but won't because they were given the option of a self-revive. Accordingly, they'd be compelled to be charitable if they needed to carry a medpack and revive tool. As I stated in my last video, I do think that some balance concerns in regards to Survivalist are worth consideration, but people that are claiming any medic not specifically using a medpack plus revive tool is selfish and ineffective at playing for the team, they're jumping the shark. My kit for Operator and Hardline was usually Revive Tool plus Survivalist, and I used it to save squads of people, salvage failing vault raids, score arrests for the team, and do other awesome team-benefiting stuff. So to that I say, if Survivalist made you be a selfish player, well, you weren't using it the way I was. There's also the fact that the medpack and revive tool could also be swapped out for a taser, grappling hook, zipline, or gas mask. Now, I may have considered these items to, in some cases, be poor kit choices, but I wouldn't have accused a medic using them of being selfish because he didn't have both a medpack and a revive tool specifically. In a game with automatic health regeneration, I always saw the medpack to be an inferior item compared to the revive tool, which I saw as a pragmatic upgrade. Health regenerates on its own, but dead teammates need my necromancy.
To life, I'll bring them. I'll bring all these dead men to life.
And what if you don't even spawn as a medic? You had the option of spawning as a medic, you had the option of taking the medpack and revive tool, but you didn't. You took the option of playing as another class. You're a terrible person. So, all you non-medics out there, you're Hitler.
Heil Hitler!
Back in the days of 2142, medics simply had the medpack no matter what their loadout was, and forcing them to have that piece of equipment didn't suddenly make every medic a charitable soul. A selfish player with a medpack would use it on himself and won't really care about the people around him, or will only care to the extent it generates points. You can extract medpacks with Hardline's ability to take health off a medic's back, or my more old-fashioned approach of killing a medic and ransacking their corpse, but you cannot turn a selfish player into a charitable one simply by forcing a class to carry an item that may potentially be useful to a teammate. All the time you spent chasing a support around for ammo in nearly every Battlefield game should tell you that. In the same sense, using an item that helps the carrier doesn't inherently make that player selfish, nor does it remove the impact of objectives they accomplish, such as if an unsquatted light assault in PlanetSide destroys a spawn point, or a medic in Hardline conducts a vault raid with a gas mask plus tear gas instead of a medkit. Selfish people will use items selfishly, and charitable people will use items charitably, and you can't bludgeon someone into wanting to serve as teammates.
Scrub it! I am! 2 cups flour! Stir!
Okay, you can if you're a Dominatrix, but most of us aren't, and neither Battlefield nor PlanetSide comes with a Dominatrix, nor is there a Dominatrix class. Though maybe there should be a Dominatrix class as sort of a supporting role meant to whip teammates into doing useful things. But my point is, if you want people to be nice to their teammates, you need to properly incentivize them to want to do it, seemingly of their own desire. And there are a lot of things that can be done to that effect, but let's start with something simple. Have a medic be invested in the success of the people he revives.
And now for my very elaborate and college-educated plan.
As it stands right now, in Hardline, a quick revive is worth 50 points, sometimes less. You can take longer to revive and get more points from it, but you'll usually want to revive as quickly as possible and won't often have time for slower revives. 50-point revives are chump change in comparison to quite a few other kit and class options, with or without counting Survivalist. From a point gain standpoint, the revive tool isn't a very competitive item, and is relying on the subjective value of my personal charity to use it, often at my own expense, or the hope that the medic feels having more teammates running around will translate to more points due to more targets for his enemies to shoot at other than himself. Unless you're in an organized squad, there will be a lot of times trusting your teammates will cost you rather than benefit you, and unless you're on a meat grinder map, there might not be enough random bodies for the revive tool to pay for itself. I would propose the following. Instead of just the points from doing the revive being the incentive, add in a point income based off of things the revived person does. Make the revive tool a more competitive piece of equipment by having it offer investments in individual teammates. If you revive one person, then he goes on to get 500 points from killing 5 people before dying, redeploying, or being revived by someone else, then you get points for assisting him in doing that. If he captures an objective or destroys a vehicle, you get some more assist points, and when he has to respawn or someone else revives him, then he no longer generates assist points for you. This system can be used for pretty much any teamwork-related role. Medics for healing and reviving, vehicle drivers, say, in PlanetSide, a dropship pilot could drop some infantry on a base and get a few points from what the infantry accomplish. This is also an effective way to better reward team-based roles that tend to offer little in the way of points or personal benefit. Have the medic be invested in the accomplishments of someone they revived or healed as an incentive to heal and revive, and want to use heal and revive equipment, rather than just the heal or revive itself being the incentive. Make the revive tool more appealing to use without sabotaging other options and turning it into a chore to use. The thought process should usually be to buff the incentive for the revive tool, not nerf every other kit item until people feel they have no choice. And this is a fairly easy to balance method. Say if you have 4 revive teammates, all generating points, the first 2 generate points at a 50% rate, and the second 2 generate at a 25% rate. Or after a long enough span of time, or a certain volume of points, they stop generating. Or let the medic choose which people generate the most points, so there's no discouragement to revive more people. There's a lot of options for how to balance point gain to make it competitive with other roles, and not award too many or too few. Now this can be further used to modify player behavior. In one of my previous videos, I talked about the impact that achievements and little mini-rewards have on people's playstyle. If you want to have an achievement system, or the mini-ribbon system, which both Battlefield 4 and PlanetSide 2 currently use, then structure them to actually encourage teamwork. A medic achievement could be to revive someone and then capture a point with them, as an alternative to overly simplistic achievements like get 5 heals, and make these more challenging achievements more rewarding accordingly. I wouldn't make the grand claim that this is a be-all, end-all cure for selfish people, but if more teamwork is what you really want, it'd give a strong nudge in the right direction if supporting roles could invest in the success of teammates rather than relying on charity being its own reward to motivate the selfish to be charitable, or relying on making charity a chore by hindering the kit so much that they feel they're overly dependent on teammates and have no flexibility or choice and might be better off as a different class. Requiring a medic to have a healing ability isn't going to automatically make him a charitable person. Back in 1942, some medics would go out of their way to heal you, even though they got nothing from doing so, or even if you were at 90% health and didn't really need it. And some wouldn't heal you no matter how much you asked. Some didn't care about you, and some were simply oblivious to their surroundings and didn't notice you. These problems exist in all team-based FPS games. But there are solutions, and it's a better solution to make the medic want to heal you of his own accord, and choose healing equipment of his own accord, because they're competitive items, rather than to try and restrict his kit so he's somehow compelled to be a team player, when he finds doing so to be overly laborious or simply ineffective. When it comes to incentive, the well-placed bribe is sometimes more effective than the whip.
Then maybe you need a session in my dungeon so I can show you otherwise.
Unless you're a Dominatrix.
Sometimes it is about the pain.
I'll see you next time.